getting into a situation where there are things that are fundamentally changing. And I'll give you one example. This is an ad that appeared in Business Week, at the back cover of Business Week, 3 weeks ago. It's the first advertisement that Google has ever made in a magazine. Because why would they have to advertise? They're a $24 billion company already. Yeah? But they took the back cover of Business Week, and this was their ad. It said, fast, elegant, and responsive. That's just their email. Jaguar Land Rover has gone Google. And they said, everybody at Jaguar Land Rover doesn't use the internal email anymore. They use Google's Gmail. It's a nice ad. If you click on Going Google, which the link was published in the ad, it says millions of users have switched to Gmail as their prime email system, and we can guarantee you as a CEO that we can give you email cheaper and more reliable than your internal IT could ever do. Now, this is what we call a declaration of war. Yeah? All you CIOs in the room, this is a declaration of war. You sit there quite comfortably thinking about the nice wine you're going to enjoy and the nice meal you're going to have, but you are being attacked by companies like Google. This is the reality in the new normal. I'll give you the other side of the perspective. I was having lunch with a CIO about 4 weeks ago. This is a CIO who has about 1,000 IT people in his department. We're having a really nice lunch. And he gets a call from his boss, the CEO. And the boss says, and the CEO says, I have to take this call because it's my boss. So this picks up the phone, it's the CEO, and the CEO says, I have a problem, I'm in the office. I was working on the analyst presentation last night, and it was too big to put in our email system, so I put it in my Gmail. But I'm here in the office, I have to give the presentation to the analysts, and I can't seem to access my Gmail. And the CIO says, but sir, we don't allow access to Gmail from the office. He was practically fired on the spot. Yeah. That's the new normal we're going to have to face. And it's not just the digital natives who are going to be pressuring us. It's probably the business executives more than anybody else. Now, we have these new digital natives, and I love them. I absolutely adore them. I have 2 kids at home. My biggest worry today is that although they are digital natives, are they getting the right type of environment to actually be able to grow up in the right circumstances? I had an oudercontact a couple of weeks ago, and the teacher of my son, who's 6, said, oh, we hebben wel iets heel raars meegemaakt. And we had a very strange incident because after the weekend we had a grouping of the kids and we always asked them what they did during the weekend. And your son said, ik heb geskyped met mijn oma. And she said, I had no idea what he was talking about. And we were quite worried, because we had no idea what Skyping was. And she said it was very strange because suddenly you had 10 little kids explaining to the teacher how to Skype and what it was and how to use it. If that's the type of environment that we have in this country where we have to let these digital natives mature, I think we have a fundamental problem. I'm not going to make a political statement, that wouldn't be appropriate, but I was so amused last night or yesterday when Heer Bourgeois said that the voting computers in this country probably are not going to last and probably won't work, and he was very worried. And we all know in the elections what wonderful computers there are at the voting booth. One of the good things is that because most of the voting computers are actually put in the schools, in a couple of weeks when you go to vote, well, the computers that you use to vote will be very similar to the computers that they have in the school anyway, because that is the type of infrastructure we have today. So is that the right context for our digital natives? I'm a little bit worried about that. But these digital natives think very differently. They think completely different from ourselves. I think, Peter, you mentioned Wikipedia. I love Wikipedia. I use it every day, but I don't trust it. The younger generation use it every day, and they trust it completely. It's not 100% accurate. My favorite Wikipedia moment was when the new Pope was elected. He was called Kardinaal Ratzinger. He gets elected. He's called Benedict XVI. That moment, you could go to Wikipedia and type in Benedict XVI, and you got a picture of Darth Vader. That is not correct. Within an hour, they took it down. They say, no, it doesn't look like that. He looks like Kardinal Ratzinger. It's a self-correcting mechanism. If you look at the long tail effect, where you can now zoom in on individual profiles, where you don't have to focus on the majority anymore, on 80-20, but the possibility to zoom in on individual profiles, that is how digital natives work and operate. They live in communities, and they don't think in hierarchical structures. And I love communities. I'm part of them. You're all part of communities, but some of you have difficulty with that. I had, and some people are on Facebook, but they have no friends. That's very sad. That's extremely sad. Huh? Actually, yesterday, I saw a CEO, and I looked him up on Facebook, and he had one friend. His mother. Well, that's about the saddest thing that you can have now these days. And some people say, I don't want to be part of it, but the Oxford 2009 word was unfriend. And if you see the potential of people grouping together, getting together, you see that there are fundamental changes. Now, we're constantly seeing new battlefields. One of the big battlefields today is undoubtedly mobile. It's the best sign of digital natives. This is my hero. I don't know if you know him. It's Dr. Martin Cooper. He was my childhood hero. I'm a true nerd. I had a picture of Martin Cooper in my room. He invented the mobile phone in 1972. I had the opportunity to meet Martin Cooper once, but actually mobile phones was a really boring thing for a very long time. Today it has changed. We have 127% mobile penetration in Europe, which means we have more mobiles than human beings. The Italians are a big part of that statistic, but that's another story. But we are seeing that it is changing our lives. 60% of the people who have a BlackBerry take the BlackBerry with them to bed. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands, but that's our behavior. 23% of the people would rather lose their wedding ring than their mobile phone today. And that is interesting behavior. And we're seeing it gets younger and younger and younger because that's the type of exposure we have now these days. But it's been a really boring game for a long time until the wonderful fight between these two erupted. I can't choose. This is for email, this is for all the rest. And I have both. I can't choose. But most people have to choose. And they were frustrated for a long time because these guys had all the sexiness and they had all the boringness. I don't know what you have, but I have both. And BlackBerry, when they came out with their brand new one, they were so glad because they thought they had an iPhone killer. And they had a wonderful ad. I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm going to show it. I absolutely love this. This is the ad that BlackBerry used to actually introduce their new model, which they thought was an iPhone killer. I will show it again just to illustrate the metaphor. What you see is an apple, being shot to pieces by a BlackBerry. I love that commercial. And they absolutely adored this commercial. It ran for 2 days, because 2 days later, this commercial came out. An Apple commercial that showed exactly what happens when a BlackBerry hits an apple. But it's a factor of life now these days. And it's not just about the design. The appeal has a large factor in this. Apple has a serious design appeal. My iPad arrived a week ago, and I used it all of last week. And I had more people who wanted to touch me than ever before in my entire life. And there is a certain appeal factor. But I think the most interesting thing is that they are also extremely arrogant. For Apple, they are the center of the universe. And now you see technology is the center of the universe. We had an interesting discussion this morning about cars. I had an interesting experiment. I love my iPhone. I bought this car last year. After a lot of hard work, I thought I earned something, and I was really pleased with this car. And I ordered, of course, the iPhone connector. And I got into the car for the first time. I put in my iPhone. And at that moment, a message came on my iPhone that says, your accessory won't work with the iPhone. That's how they think of the rest of the world. This is an accessory for them. This is just a vehicle to drive around your iPhone. They are the center of the universe. Anyway, where are we? The question is, are we there yet? And my statement is we're halfway there. Yeah? We're halfway in